Good evening and salutations, my GH fans. Spencer is a scumbag. Okay, he is just a scumbag in so many ways. I mean, he goes to the gallery to talk to Trina, and they seem like they have a good talk. Trina kind of not really lays into him, but just kind of calls him out on his BS, and basically it's like you can do better than what you're doing. Um, Spencer apologizes for Esme's behavior as far as like bringing up a lot of stuff, this, that, and the third. And I'm like, okay, so you know exactly what kind of person that Esme is, and yet you're choosing to stay with her because why? Again? I don't understand that. You literally asked her on a car ride home, did you sit there and do it on purpose? Oh, I'm sorry. I've been such a bad boyfriend. But then when you get to training, you're like, yeah, I really apologize for her behavior. I'm going to stay with her, by the way, but I just want to sit there and say I apologize. Um, Now, Esme is, at Kelly's for a little bit, but then, she darts over there and, she catches Spencer about to kiss Trina. First of all, when he grabbed her hands, I was like, bro, what the hell are you doing? Like, what are you doing? What's wrong with you, B? You know damn well. Here's the thing. I don't even like Esme, okay? But what the hell are you doing sitting there grabbing, after you just apologize and practically beg like the pathetic little man that you are, you're gonna sit there and grab another woman's hands and then is about to kiss her. And I'm sitting there thinking, Trina, what are you doing? You know damn well that he's with somebody else. He grabs your hands and you're just like, man, maybe I should sit there and pull back since he's with someone else. That's cool. I'm just gonna let him hold my hands and kiss me. Esme is just like standing there in the back, just looking at this whole thing before she stops it. And I'm just like, bro, you're just such a scumbag. I mean, you're playing this chick, Trina, and you're about to sit there and cheat on a woman that I don't even like. The hell, you know what? Never mind. I just, like I said, I'm so over Spencer and just I'm over it. Anyway, everyone gathers around. Everyone gathers to sit there and say goodbye. You got Kevin. No, never mind. Kevin had to leave. You have Laura. You have Nicholas. You have Ava, Trina, Esme. They all sit there and say goodbye. Esme tries to kiss him. Esme kisses him. Trina kind of like turns around, like, oh, she's doing that just for show. I'm like, you're about to sit there and kiss a boyfriend. So, I mean, in reality, does it even really matter at this point? And, Spencer gets ready to go to jail, to his little country club. Which, by the way, when Laura came up and was, coming at Victor, Victor was like, may I remind you that he was actually going to be going to Pentonville? And I stopped that to him going to practically a country club. Did you forget about that? And I understand that Laura's position is, he does things and it comes at a cost. But which one would you rather him actually be at? Pentonville or Spring Ridge, which is pretty much a country club? Yeah. Yeah, is exactly. Like, it's like, come on. So they have their little argument or whatever, back and forth. It doesn't really go anywhere, and Victor leaves anyway. And Laura's not there telling Nicholas to be there for Spencer and pretty much just telling him to be a father. Which is really sad when your mother has to sit there and tell you to do your job. So yeah, that happens. Sunny. So as far as Sunny walks in and is about to sit there and talk to Drew, and then Phyllis stops that whole thing. And I'm like, what are you doing? I kind of want to sit there and see where that was going to go. Anyway, Phyllis kind of calls him out on some of his BS. Um, the fact that Nina wasn't there helping him out, during his whole manic episode and about how he stopped taking his medication. Um, Now, somebody I think this person's name is Carly Jason, wasn't there saying, or was Carly Jason? And if I mispronounced the name wrong, I really apologize. Because I was thinking one day, I was like, did Sonny actually take his medication? And some people was not saying that he was, but okay, he's taking his medication and he's still acting like that. Like he's still sitting there trying to tell Carly to sit there and hurry up and let's get back together. He's still doing that. Like that's just him now at this point because now he doesn't even have the whole. Well, I wasn't taking my meds, so I was a little kind of off. It's like no, now you're just being a jackass. Um, See, Phyllis was like, why didn't you sit there and tell Carly, about, Nina helping you out? Like, Carly should be the one that's like helping you through this. Sonny was like, oh, I don't want her to be there to me to, like feel like it's an obligation or anything like that. I want her to be there because she wants to be there. And Phyllis is like, she's your wife. Sickness and health. Remember that stuff? I just want to throw that out there. Um, So they talk for a little bit, and Sonny buys Drew a drink, and Sonny's he does that whole thing. I'm like, man, you were an absolute you're an absolute asshole to him, okay? And if you're honestly sitting there thinking buying him a drink, like he doesn't need your money, he's rich, he can buy his own drink. Like that's supposed to sit there and make up for that. Um, and Britt was sitting there talking to Drew, and Britt was like, "What's going on? Like, what? what's the bad blood? Like, why are you on his bad side for?" And Drew was sitting there talking about what happened that whole night, and what Rick one second, just talking about what happened, and how he tried to intervene between Sonny and Curtis, and Sonny pointing out that he's not Jason, and that still bothered him. Um, But I actually tell you the truth, I did enjoy their interaction together. And at some point, Drew did go back to Sonny, and Sonny apologized for him sitting there, saying he wasn't being himself. And even Britt was like, you gotta, kind of come some slack because he's had a rough year. And I'm like, no, no, um, no, we're not doing that. That what he said, the way he was acting it went too far. But he did apologize, saying that he wasn't himself, stuff with Carly and everything like that. And, he did apologize. And towards the end of the conversation, they bring up Oscar and they kind of like mend their fences a little bit. I mean, Drew was like, we're not exactly buddy buddy. We're a lot better than what we, like were at that point. So I was actually happy about that. Um, because they did actually seem like they had a good friendship, um, somewhat of a friendship. I am sitting there thinking about that time where Drew did back off of Sonny to just spend time with Sam. And granted, he did the right thing. He didn't want to sit there and live that life. With Sonny and the danger and stuff like that. He wanted to actually be there for Sam, something that Jason didn't do. Um, It's like no matter what volume I'm actually putting it at, it still somehow likes to jump. Anyway, Brew's there to meet up with Obrick, playing matchmaker and stuff like that. So what Britt did, was talking about Sam and, Drew's like, I don't sit there and poach, she's with Dante and she's happy and I just wanted to be happy. Um or Britt was like, well, what do you want? And she left. Now, Sam, I will sit there and say this about the temporary Sam. She actually looked a lot prettier than last time. I don't know what the hell was going on, but when I saw the photos, when she first came on, and I knew about it. And I saw the photos. I was like, okay, all right, like whatever. I mean, this is a little kind of odd, but she looks good and stuff like that. I mean, not that that should matter, but my point is, when they showed her, it was like, what, what, what happened? How much Photoshop did we use in this one? But she actually did look pretty. She came in there and pretty much all she talked about with Spinelli was her love life, and who she wanted to be with. Did she want to be with Drew, or did she want to be with Dante? And Spinelli was like, "Listen, I get why you aren't with Jason anymore, but Dante is a cop. Like he still comes with a certain level of danger. It may not be the inviting danger that Jason had, but he's a cop, so stuff does happen." Um, and in the end, I'm gonna be honest, they didn't. It's not like she really decided like, oh, I want to be with Drew or she wants to be with Jason. They just sat there and played video games and just kind of bounced around ideas. So okay, that, I don't know. I don't want to sit there and say that that scene was entirely useless. It was kind of useful because Dante did sit there and say that like him and Sam was actually at a good place and they were going, and then when Drew got there, everything just kind of stopped to a halt. So I guess it was kind of nice that she was there. I don't know what is going on with Kelly. Um, she doesn't need to get back there ASAP. It's not like the new Sam or the temporary Sam is doing like a terrible job. So yeah. Now at this point, Peter seems so sure of himself, and he's not there talking to Dante, and Dante's like, you're gonna go away to jail for a long time, this, that, and third. And Peter's like, well, things happen. Like he just seemed like he was really confident, and he did want to bumping into Anna and Felicia before Mac Dante transported him off to Penville. Now, what tipped me off that something was going to go sideways was when Spinelli was there talking about the level of danger of Dante. And seeing that whole they're going to sit there and transport him, I was like, man, I wonder what's going to wind up happening. And so they're driving, and at first you talk about some black ice or whatever, and I guess some people or some cops, something happened. And they asked Mac, like, what do you want to do? You want to stop and help? But Mac was like, no, we're not doing that. We just gonna call some other people. We're gonna get this guy back to his cell, and we just gonna get that done. And Dante's like, oh, well, good try, whatever. And Peter's like, well, if I had something planned, it'd be a lot more flashier than that. But whatever that he had planned, it worked because from what I understand, what I'm looking at is that it seemed like somebody shot out the tires because when he stopped the van, because it does like spill over whatever it crashed into something, and Dante checks the tires. He's like, all four tires are out. Um, Obviously, Peter is not in. I guess Peter is not in there. I don't know where Peter's at, but they're outside. It's Dante and Mac. They're outside, and then they see like a car or whatever approaching. So I guess judging by the previews, I'm assuming that Dante got shot. I heard like a gun sound, so I'm assuming that Dante got shot. And one, something. Well, not something, but it goes back to what Spinelli was there saying. So, and it just I don't know. Like this whole episode just seemed like it was pointing to something happening to Dante. Obviously, they're not going to sit there and kill him off, but Dante's probably going to be out of commission for a little bit. Drew's going to sit there and be there for Sam, and that's how their whole love triangle is going to go. I actually tell you the truth, I mean, I'm not really a coupling person or whatever, but I did like the interaction between Drew and Britt. And I feel like that might be a thing. I don't know. Again, this whole thing just goes left. His whole storyline just kind of went a little bit left when Steve got fired, and that just kind of closed the door for Brit as far as having like somebody to be a have a be a partner with or whatever. So now it's just like, all right, well, what are we gonna do with Brit? I'm still kind of wondering that myself, and that's what I'm sitting there thinking about Joe. So after Austin, in a not so subtle way, practically told Anna to kick rocks, this is after they were talking, because they were talking about Valentine and Louise, and whatever they was going to talk about finally jogs Austin's memory. So after Anna left, Austin was like, "Yeah, Anna, yeah, Maxie, I know everything." And he knew everything about like their little plan to switch to give Brooklyn the baby, um barely being Louise, everything. And he was mad. He wasn't mad at what she did. He was mad at the fact that she didn't tell him. Well, Maxie was like, I didn't even tell my parents. The fewer people that knew, the better. Which sounds good in theory, but you didn't exactly tell the right people, and this is why you're kind of in the mess that you're in. Um, so after Austin, hears everything, and Chase being in on it and everything like that. At first, he was kind of mad, and Maxie was gonna walk out, but then Austin was like, "All right, whatever. I get it. I was kind of a stranger. You did what you had to do." Um, so long story short, they're in a better place, and Maxie at the time, she didn't apologize, but she was like, I should have told you, and then they kiss, and I don't know. I guess it's just something I got to get used to seeing. The thing is, I know that Austin isn't that much older than Maxie, but I don't know. Honestly, tell you the truth, this whole Austin being from Franco, and then if I really think about it, kind of being like Todd, it's just, it is what it is. I don't think that I feel like it's going to take me some time to fully get used to Austin being Austin and not Franco, but I feel like I feel like he's more Austin than Franco now, if that makes any sort of sense. In a lot of ways, I felt like Kevin really didn't serve a purpose in this episode. I mean, he was there to sit there and try to see off Spencer, but he couldn't stay because he had another patient emergency, client emergency or whatever. So it was like you were there, you didn't really do that much, and then you'd left. It was like, the hell were you there in the first place? I mean, at least Spinelli was there as a sounding board for Sam, and Britt was there kind of as a sounding board for Drew, and then they kind of bounced off ideas and stuff like that. But Kevin being there was just like, you were just here for a paycheck. Let's just be honest. I understand that people are there. Somebody once said, somebody was into saying like as far as like contracts is concerned, like why you will have people there for reasons where even where it seems like it doesn't really make a lot of sense. But like Kevin wasn't really needed in this episode. Anyway, with that being said, I think this was a good episode. It's kind of crammed in, but like it was good. Um, so yes, with that, here's the thing. What I'm wondering, and I know I forgot to talk about something. Victor left, and he was on the phone with someone, and then he was there talking about the package being secure. Now, at first, I was there thinking, was Victor, responsible for, um, the transport truck, like, crashing or whatever? But I have a phone that has more to do with Valentine. It was something that Laura was there saying, um, as far as like, hinting that, Victor be there helping Peter out. And so when this whole crash thing happens, people are going to be there blaming Victor, like, oh, you helped out you helped out Peter or whatever. I don't think that he actually did, or I could be wrong. I don't know. Anyway, with that being said, I'm gonna go. I want to thank everyone for watching. Be safe. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below, and I will see you in the next video. I don't know why the hell I'm holding my hands for it.